Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Double Play Podcast. I'm Ryan Donnie with my first class co-host, Jack Smith. And today we're going to get through some quick hitters and then talk about our season predictions, record predictions, World Series picks, and award predictions. And at the end, we'll get into a fun segment where we rank our top five in a variety of categories, and we'll tell you more about that later, what we're getting into today. But first off, Jack, you want to start us off with some quick hitters?
Yeah, first of all, how you doing? It's been because we recorded the last episode pretty earlier in the week. It's been a while. Yeah. It's been over a week. So how you doing?
I've been good. Just the grind with school, but I got some more club baseball games starting tomorrow. I've got 2 games tomorrow and 1 on Sunday. So see if they need the closer to close out some games.
I was going to say, are they going to rely on your arm or your bat? Where do you hit in the lineup?
So game 1, I hit second. No, I hit leadoff, which I don't normally hit leadoff. I'm normally like a 2 guy. And then I went 0 for because it was my first game in almost a year. So then I hit like 6 the second game, and I didn't play the third game just because it was the third game in a row where giving some guys some rest.
Yeah, you had. I mean, after closing out the game, I think they deserve to give you some rest. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well too. Coming back from spring break, getting back into classes. Starting an internship with USC football, which is going to be
that's exciting.
Really fun. Starting to watch some spring training games. I'm wearing my spring training shirt right now. It's been fun to get some baseball on. But yeah, quick hitters, like you mentioned, over that long, more than a week that we missed, Carlos Correa signed randomly with the Minnesota Twins a 3-year, $105 million, $300,000 contract with opt-outs after each year. And Trevor Story signed with the Boston Red Sox, 6 years, $140 million. So as we finished last episode, those were the 2 big dominoes that had to fall in free agency. And in the span of a couple of days, we got both of them to teams that I think coming into the offseason, no one really expected those 2 to go to.
Yeah, that 300,000 you were struggling with, that was so he can get 35.1 a year, which tops him. I forget who it tops, but it makes him the highest paid infielder. Just he had to get that 0.1 in there in the contract, but it was random. I mean, it was like at 1 a.m. my times. And I mean, Minnesota's in the same time zone. So he signed at like 1 a.m. in Minnesota just randomly. There was no rumors about it, no nothing. So that was a crazy one. And the deal is not what I was expecting a deal for him. I was looking for a long-term deal, but I mean, he's betting on himself. If he can re-enter the market, this was a very busy shortstop heavy free agent class. So if he's betting on himself, and if he performs like he has, and maybe he'll get his long-term deal in a few years.
And there's been a lot of takes out there that while this looks like a 3-year contract, he might take the opt-out after this season if he has a season that replicates what he did last year. Because I think you're right. There was a very shortstop dense market, and a lot of people or a lot of other teams wanted the more bargain shopping. I think that was kind of what I was saying going to the offseason as well, as I would rather have Trevor Story for 6 years, 140, than signing Carlos Correa to $35 million a year or over $30 million a year for many years down the line, like a deal like Corey Seager got as well. So teams opted for Seager or Baez or Story. And I think he realized that he wasn't getting the market that he wanted for that long-term deal. So I think this is a good pivot to take a shorter deal that he can decide whether it's 1, 2, or 3, and getting the most money per year that an infielder's ever gotten. Interesting that it was the Twins. That was surprising to me, but like we said in the last episode, the Twins obviously have a plan. They want to compete. They don't want their window to be closed quite yet. And bringing in Carlos Correa, who was maybe the best free agent on the market this offseason, that really helps that.
Yeah, we mentioned the Twins are trying to make themselves contenders with a new look. But I mean, I like it. It's good. It's good to see a team spending some money and trying to compete rather than the A's. We won't talk about that much.
Yeah, but I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say that in the AL, if you're fighting for that 6th spot in the playoffs, which is now a thing, and I don't think some of the teams towards the top is going to be harder to push them, but I think the Twins inserted themselves into that conversation, especially if you look at all these teams. Maybe you've got those 2 guys. You look at the Angels, they have Trout and Ohtani. The Rangers, if you want to insert them, they now have Seager and Semien. Now the Twins have Buxton and Correa. Like those 2 guys can rival any pairing of 2 in the league. So if you're looking at that top level strength, the Twins are there. We still have questions about the pitching, questions about maybe the rest of the lineup and the depth of the lineup. But I think that going out and getting Correa is a pure sign they want to win, and I like it.
And without spending too much time on the quick hitters, but I just want to talk really quick about the Red Sox or Trevor Story to the Red Sox deal. I think that's a good deal for them. If he's willing to play second base long term, that'll be good. Hopefully, I mean, it'll see it work out. But that lineup is looking really scary right now. And I think the Red Sox are a real threat this season. We'll talk about that. I don't know where you have them. We've kept our record predictions secret from each other. But at least for me, I do like the Red Sox this season. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I do as well. I won't get into how much I like them, but until a little bit later. I like this deal. I've always said I think Trevor Story would be a very good second baseman if he was willing to play it. I think he would be a better shortstop than Xander Bogaerts, but then again, you're not going to tell Bogaerts you're moving him over. And I think he could even be a good third baseman down the line if you want to move Rafi to DH. But I think this gives the Red Sox just another great bat. 6 years, $140 million, I think is a really good deal. I would rather be paying 6 years, 140 for Trevor Story than 3 years, 105 and 300,000 for Carlos Correa. I think I like it more than the Corey Seager deal. So like I said, if you were going bargain shopping for the shortstops, I thought Trevor Story would be a good move to make. And I think he's a good fit in Boston. He makes that lineup just one more bat scarier.
Staying in the AL here, we saw Tim Beckham, former number 1 overall pick. He hit a bomb the other day that was absolutely crushed. And wow, did you see his bat flip? That was crazy.
Yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I'll put it on the screen right now. I'm not sure I've ever seen a major league hitter pimp a bat that much.
And in a spring training game, we're starting early this season.
Well, that's the best time to do it. Because
that's true.
I don't think you're really going to get domed on the next at bat in spring training. If you tried that in an MLB game, there's some guys, some managers or some pitchers that would not like it. But I think we can put the stamp of approval on bat flips and celebrations as this podcast. Like, we endorse having fun. We endorse bat flips and pitchers doing the sword celebrations and yelling when they come off the mound. All that stuff just makes baseball more exciting. So we're officially endorsing, I think, that with this quick hitter.
And I said the White Sox. I meant the Twins. Mine was on the AL Central. But
well, look,
yeah.
They've got now. Sorry, I should have put them as a group of 3. You've got Carlos Correa, you have Byron Buxton, you have Tim Beckham's bat flips.
I guess so. Yeah.
The other fun thing that we wanted to touch on in quick hitters was everyone's aware of Wordle, which is a game that everyone's been playing, bought by the New York Times. It's really fun. If you haven't played, you better go play Wordle, WORDLE. But there's a new baseball version called Wardle, like wins above replacement. And it's really fun. I actually played it for the first time last night. Got it pretty well too. I surprised myself about how quickly, like, I only had a couple things. I guess we can spoil it because it'll be done by that point, but it was AL Central. And then I immediately went to Andrew Benintendi for some reason because of the age in the outfield. And I was like, I think that would work.
Yeah, I want to pull up mine. I did it today, as I've been doing it every day, but I did today's right before the episode. And I like looking back at all my guesses, I was doing terrible guesses. I guess like 6. No, not 6. I guess 4 center fielders in a row. I'm like, what am I doing here? It's just bad strategy. I started with Lance Lynn.
Okay.
So I got the AL Central right away. And then I went Buxton, Reynolds, Zimmer, and Akil Baddoo. I went 4 straight center fielders within the division. And Brian Reynolds, I thought NL Central for some reason. I had a brain fart. And then I was thinking, okay, I knew it was a left-handed bat at that point. So and left-handed thrower. So I'm like, okay, probably outfield. And I knew it had to be the Royals because I guessed every single other Central team. Mm-hmm. And I got Benintendi first try, but it could have turned bad with my strategy. Yeah.
So I started with Brandon Belt. So I knew it was a left-handed batter thrower and from the United States. Base. So it's like, it is not first base. So it's going to be an outfielder or a pitcher. So then I guess Clayton Kershaw. It was not Clayton Kershaw. Then I guessed Joey Votto, but like I knew, or I don't think it says, it does say position, but I just wanted to see some more left-handed batters and throwers that I knew. So then I got NL Central. So I knew since it was yellow, it was the AL Central. I guessed Max Kepler. And then I did not realize Max Kepler's from Germany. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then I went right to Benintendi. So I got it in 5. I think that's pretty successful, especially for my first time playing. So I guess we're also endorsing Wardle.
Yes, go play that. It's a lot of fun. It helps you learn some new players as well, because sometimes they throw some random ones at you.
Well, and then you figure out Max Kepler's from Germany. So I guess win-win. Do you want to get into what Dave Roberts said?
I do want to get into Dave Roberts said, because this, as a Dodgers fan, this hypes me up. And I'm going to pull up the exact quote. This was this morning, or at least I saw it this morning. But he says on the Dan Patrick Show, we will win the World Series this year. Put it on record. And that makes me so excited as a Dodgers fan because it just has flashbacks when I think he first said it after the Dodgers came back to beat the Braves in the 2020 NLCS when they came back from down 3-1. And like while they were accepting the NL championship trophy, he goes, "This is our year. This is our year." So it gives me flashbacks to that a little bit. I mean, I have got trust in that, and it just makes me so excited for this season because the Dodgers are going to be so fun to watch, and I'm just so excited for it.
Doesn't he say that every year though?
No, I haven't seen where it's like this definitive. Like obviously, you always want to have confidence. Like, yeah, I think this is our year. I think we can do it this year. But he's saying we will win the World Series, and I love that.
All I'll say is the National League runs through San Francisco.
Oh my goodness.
And you can put that on record too. I think the Dodgers have the best chance of anyone to win the World Series. Like they've had the last, all I'll say though, is it's the same thing that they've had the last like 5 years. They've had the best chance and they've come away with one. So maybe pump the brakes a little bit, but It's on record. So if
it is on record,
I will put it on record now that if they don't win the World Series, I will be coming back to this and making fun of Dave Roberts for it. And you'll probably be calling for him to be fired.
Oh, I've been calling for him to be fired since 2017, but that's a different story. But I could see that totally being a future Freezing Cold Takes post.
It definitely will be. Because, after they lose to the Cardinals in the DS, then this is going to come back up and everyone's going to be reposting it and asking Dave Roberts if he still thinks it.
All right. Well, talking about World Series predictions, we'll get into our record predictions, which is going to be the bulk of today's episode. And Jack, you want to start us off with the AL East, which might be the toughest one to predict and the most interesting.
Yeah, I would argue this is absolutely the toughest one to pick. In most of the divisions, it seems like the order is set. So we also went about and did records as well so that we could come back to these at the end of the year, see how close we were, but then also see the seedings in the playoffs and where each team would be ranked. In the AL East, I had a new champion. I had the Blue Jays winning the AL East at 94-68. I had the Rays coming in second place, 92-70. The Yankees in third, 89-73. The Red Sox, 86-76. And the Orioles, 62-100. One of two 100-game losers in the MLB this year. But my kind of rationale behind that, I really think that on paper, this Blue Jays team could be the best team in the American League. I think they've got a starting rotation, almost 6 or 7 guys deep who I'd be fine throwing out there and be confident in going into a start. Their lineup can mash. And I just think that they've got a lot of good mojo behind them this year. And honestly, I'm really feeling the Blue Jays. The rationale for putting the Rays over the Yankees and Red Sox, when I've seen a lot of people kind of fading the Rays coming into this year, is the thing I mentioned the last week, that we don't realize how many stars they have on top of their analytical approach, which has always proved that even if you're counting them out, they're going to win more games than you think. But you bring on a guy like Wander Franco, who I think even has the potential to be an MVP candidate this year. Brandon Lau is really good. Joey Wendell is really good. Randy Rosarena is really good. Mike Zunino.
Joey Wendell was traded.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Well, anyways, Randy Rosarena, Mike Zunino, Tyler Glasnow, Shane McClanahan, Shane Boz coming up. There's a lot of great names still on this Rays squad, and even the production they get from guys who you don't know their name. I still think they come in second place. And then Yankees, Red Sox. Yankees, I just don't think they've done a whole lot to get much better. I know Luis Severino is going to be coming back, and I know that you're going to be able to run it back with some of the guys that you did have, but I just don't feel like they got much better. Whereas I feel like teams like the Blue Jays and even the Red Sox, who pushed the Yankees a little bit, I still have them coming in behind the Yankees in the standings, but I think those teams got better in the division.
I've got the AL East being a dogfight. Yeah. And with the top two and then the third and fourth teams, I think so. I'll get into it. I got the Blue Jays winning the division as well, 97-65.
Okay.
I've got the Rays. I'm high on the Rays. I like the Rays. 96-66.
Damn.
So I've got that coming down to the last few games of the season, one game separating them. I think that'll be a great finish. Then I've got the Red Sox at 3.
Wow.
At 87-75, and the Yankees at 86-76.
Yankees fans, look away. You said 86-76?
Yeah, I've got them also one game behind.
Mhm.
And then I've got the Orioles in last at 57 and 105.
Wow.
So, I mean, you kind of touched all on it for my reasoning, but I just like the Red Sox. I think Chris Sale will come back when he's healthy, and I think he'll be a great addition to that rotation that has Eovaldi and Rich Hill is a good 3 or 4 guy. He can still pitch it a little well. I'm blanking on who else they have, but I think Chris Sale will come back and he'll help that team. And I think they just barely edge out the Yankees.
They've got Nick Pivetta too, still, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I just struggle to believe that rotation. Like, I still think the Yankees rotation is better than the Red Sox rotation, especially if they're going to be missing out on Sale to start the season. I think Cole's better than Sale to start. And
the Red Sox didn't have Sale for the majority of last season. They still beat out the Yankees, and the Red Sox got better.
Yeah, but I just think the Yankees, they dealt with some adversity. But I just think that if they get healthy seasons from Judge and Stanton, and I think LeMahieu bounces back this season.
Eagles been saying that for a long time. If they get healthy seasons.
Well, they got a healthy season from Judge last year, so it's not like it's out of the question. And and the Red Sox have a lot of guys that, Sale, if they don't get a healthy season from Sale, I don't know. I just think, I only had the Red Sox coming 3 games behind the Yankees, and spoiler alert,
it's a toss-up.
I still have them as a playoff team. So that's. Do you want to start us off on the Central?
Let's go with the Central. So I've got the White Sox. They're going to be my 1 seed in the AL.
Same.
I've got them going 162. So I've got them winning 100 games. One of 2 teams winning 100 games in the MLB.
Boy, I wonder who the second team is.
Take a wild guess on what the other team is.
Yeah.
I've got the Twins in second at 83 and 79.
Okay.
So, Cleveland Guardians now at 80 and 82, just behind, a few games back. The Tigers coming in 4th at 77 and 85, and the Royals in last at 73 and 89.
We were almost exactly the same. I have the White Sox. I don't want to give teams too many wins to start the season, because we've been spoiled with a lot of 100-win teams, but in reality, I think it's that's a really tough feat to get to 100 wins. I had the White Sox, also my 1 seed in the AL, at 96 and 66. I have the Twins at 85 and 77. The Guardians, I also have 80 and 82. The Tigers, I also have 77 and 85. And I've got the Royals at 70 and 92. I guess you can't say enough good things about the White Sox. They're just loaded in every category. I think they have an elite star this season in Luis Robert. I think they've got a great rotation, and it goes deep as well with Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease. If you add a guy like Michael Kopech in there, they've got a lot of guys they can even flex to starters. I hope down the line they move Garrett Crochet to be a starter. I think he was coming out of college. That would be filthy.
And that bullpen is electric.
That's what I was going to say. Their bullpen, if you don't move those guys to be starters, it's Kopech and Crochet, Joe Kelly, Craig Kimbrell, Liam Hendricks, all flamethrowers in the pen. And the rest of the lineup is good as well. You have got Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Jose Abreu. Sure, some of these guys are guys that we like to joke about being overrated, but that doesn't mean they're not great players. Yeah, Grandal is one of the better players on that team. I just left him off. So this White Sox team, so talented, so deep, and they're built the right way to win a lot of games, I think, with pitching coming first, honestly, which is, I think, a little bit more I can say than the Blue Jays. I had them winning 2 more games, and I think it's the bullpen that kind of pushes the needle for me. The Twins, it's a respectable season, 85 and 77. They come 1 game behind the Red Sox, and they're going to be tied with 1 team in the AL West too. I'll save the playoffs for when we're talking about our seeds, but I think it's still a respectable season. Guardians, they're a team that I wanted to be higher on coming into this year, but I just couldn't find a way to give them that many wins. I still think 80 and 82 for where they're at as an organization is still pretty good. And then Tigers and Royals. I think Tigers are a team that I've seen a lot of people still predicting to come last in that division, but I think AJ Hinch is a great manager. And I think that they've got a lot of talent coming up in Torkelson and Riley Green that I think they can make a push to start to be a better team come next year or the year after.
And I think in a few more years, I think the Tigers and Royals will be 2 teams to look out for. They're 2 teams on the rise. They're young. And I think in a few years, you could see this division standings flipped on its end. I think the Tigers and the Royals will be great in the coming years. And you talked about the White Sox. You hit it on the nail there. They're going to be a great team. And we both have them as our 1 seed in the AL. You talked about all their stars. And then the Twins, Yeah, they're interesting. I still think they're maybe an arm away from being a legitimate playoff team. I've got them a few games out. Well, I'll cover all the teams that just missed out, and when we talk about the playoffs after all the records. But I think the Twins will have a much better season than last year for sure. Coming in last, that was a disappointing season. But yeah, I think you talked about we're very similar with records there. You want to get into the AL West now? You want to start us off there?
Yeah, last thing on the Twins, I agree. I just think they need a little bit more pitching for me to be more confident in them. And another reason the White Sox are able to coast this record is this division is weaker than the AL East, and I would argue also weaker than the AL West. So I think they have an easier path to winning that many games. In the AL West, I've got the Astros still in first place. They finished 91 and 71. So a small step down when you're losing some of the talent that they've lost, like George Springer last year and Carlos Correa this year. I got the Angels coming in second at 85 and 77. The Mariners at 82 and 80. The Rangers at 70 and 92. And the A's at 63 and 99.
All right. I've got the Astros taking a few more. They're at 88 and 74, still winning the division.
Oh, wow.
I've got the Mariners in second with 84 and 78.
Okay.
Angels at 83 and 79. So one game back of that.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers at 72 and 90. And the A's at 60 and 102.
Yeah, the reason I didn't bump the A's lower is because this is like, we've seen this every year, and yet they still manage to win more games than you'd expect. They're never all that great, but they haven't been a dumpster fire in a really long time. So I still think that they're like, and losing 99 games is still bad, but I didn't put them as a 100-win team just strictly because I don't think that they're horrible. And I think that actually, maybe I should have because they've lost Bob Melvin now.
Yeah, but I mean, I was joking. I think I was joking to you, but we're going to be able to go to some A's games this summer for like 50 cents.
I mean, that still ties them in my thing for the third worst record in the league. Okay, so I guess it's not that bad. But yeah, I think Astros, they've still got a good arsenal of players. There's an Athletic article that's just come out about Jeremy Pena, who they think is like could be a superstar to replace Carlos Correa, that I'm really looking forward to reading. But outside of him and the gap that Correa left, they've still got some great players. They turned a good season from Yuli Gurriel last year. They still have Altuve. I think Bregman coming back and hopefully being fully healthy this season, especially for the sake of my fantasy team, would be good. They've got Kyle Tucker in the outfield. They've got a collection of guys that the younger guys that they often turn into better players. And their relievers and starters, I think, are still pretty serviceable. And they're getting Justin Verlander back. So I'm still confident in them winning this division. I think it's maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, we start to kind of see them fall off a cliff.
The Astros are an interesting team because they've got a lot of older guys. Altuve is aging. Gurriel, he's like 37. Verlander's older. Bregman's aging a little bit. Martin Maldonado, like they have some older guys. Michael Brantley.
Yep.
But then you also have Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Yordan. You're right.
And so they're a confusing team to me. I think you're right. In 2 more years, I don't think they'll be at top of this division with the rise of the Angels and the Mariners, but maybe with those young guys in a couple of years, they can still be a wild card contender. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, to see if when those guys age out, if they try and rebuild for a few years around Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, or if they kind of try to be contenders still with what they have. So it'll be interesting to see. And Mariners, they won 90 games last year, but I think it was a fluke. Their expected win-loss was around 72 games, and they had a negative 50 run differential. They were like one of the best teams in baseball in close games. And that's something you see that's hard to repeat. And while the Mariners did get better this season, I still think they're 1 more year away in terms of experience with their younger guys, and Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez in particular. But I think maybe next year they're a team that competes for the division and most certainly a playoff team. And I think the Angels, I saw a tweet either yesterday or today, of all the teams that you can say that are 1 arm away from being a contender, I think that fits the Angels the most in terms of if they had 1 more ace or one, like a strong number 2, they could definitely be like a second or maybe even compete for the division in this And I think 1 or 2 more years, I mean, you saw last year in the draft, they had 20 draft picks and drafted all pitchers or something like that. And I think a couple more years, you let some of their guys develop. I think they're a team that can make some noise in that division a couple years down the line as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's also arms in the bullpen. I think if you just build a consistent stable in the bullpen, another thing that could set the
arm barn. An arm barn.
Yeah, an arm barn. I'm curious though, what was your rationale then for putting the Mariners over the Angels this year?
Well, I've only got them 1 game ahead.
Okay.
So I still think they're going to be very similar teams. I think the Mariners, I mean, you saw maybe they can be not as good, but still great in close games. And I've got them winning 84 games, which is a little bit of a step back. And I'll talk about them, how that fits the playoff picture. I mean, you can kind of match it up if you're paying attention right now, but we'll recap at the end. But
well, I mean, now that we're through the AL, I feel like we can.
You want to go through the AL right now?
Yeah. So I've got 1 seed White Sox, 2 seed Blue Jays, 3 seed Astros. Those are your 3 division winners. Then the Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox in the wild card. So, and that would make the wild card series the Astros versus the Red Sox, the Rays versus the Yankees. The winner of Astros Red Sox plays the White Sox. Plays the Blue Jays, and the winner of Rays Yankees plays the White Sox.
And I've got same seeding: White Sox 1, Blue Jays 2, Astros 3, and then Rays 1, Red Sox 2, and Yankees 3. And I've got the Mariners finishing 2 games back of the wild card, the Angels finishing 3, and the Twins also finishing 3. So those are the teams I have just missing. And it'd be Yankees versus Astros here, and Rays Red Sox. And then Rays Red Sox, the winner would then face the Blue Jays, and Yankees Astros, the winner would face the White Sox.
Wait, you said the Astros are your 3?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Wait, so you have the Yankees. Oh yeah, because you had them below the Red Sox. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the teams that just missed out were the Twins and the Angels are both 1 game back. The Red Sox won 86 and took the last spot. Twins 85, Angels 85, Mariners 4 games back at 82 wins. So I think it'll be a close race in the AL because there's a lot of teams that, like, the way when I was going through it, there's teams that I really want to say you can make this next step and make the playoffs, but I just didn't find the spaces yet for them to do that with these teams that have been in this race for a long time now. I think that those teams are still solidly in their spots. Maybe next year is the year that we say an Angels or a Rangers or a Mariners or a Tigers can move their way up.
Yeah. With that being said, we're not going to go through each of the wild card winners and divisional winners. We'll talk about the World Series picks after we talk about the NL. But with that being said, you want to get into the NL East? Yeah.
So the NL East was the toughest division winner for me. I think the rest of them were pretty solid. The AL East would also, I would say, be up there, but it was between Mets and Braves. And for the longest time, my mind was telling me, pick the Braves. You know what the Mets do every year. They kind of choke. But I just couldn't shake the feeling, the inside, that the Mets could run that division. So I have the Mets as the division winners at 92 and 70. I've got the Braves at 90 and 72. The Phillies come in third. Finally, they don't be a 4th place team at 84 and 78. The Marlins 76 and 86, and the Nationals 66 and 96.
We were also very similar with that one. I've got the Braves winning the division though.
Okay.
I've got the Braves at 93 and 69.
I can't fault you for that.
Mets at 91 and 71, because I do think the Braves got better. I'll talk about that in a second once I get through all these. The Phillies at 85 and 77. The Marlins at 74 and 88, and then the Nationals at 68 and 94.
Okay, we were really close on records then too.
We were. And I still think the Braves are going to win that division. They got better. They're going to get Soroka back at some point. They're going to get Acuna back. They re-signed Rosario, who's clutch. He's not the best, but he's clutch. He comes up with clutch hits. They got Matt Olson, which I do think is an upgrade from Freddie Freeman. I don't know if
I think it's an upgrade down the line. I would say that I think that Freddie Freeman's probably still a better player now.
And yeah,
and the clubhouse leadership and all that stuff. Like, I feel like there's
that is true. But you're going to get another full season of Austin Riley, who can be an MVP candidate if he plays super well. And I think that team is they got better this year, I think. And I mean, we saw they only won 88 games and won the World Series, but it's really about who gets hot at the right time. but I think the Braves still win that division. I've got them winning by 2 games. The Mets, I just can't fully get behind the lineup to win the division. I mean, their starting rotation, we know DeGrom and Scherzer. That's probably the best 1-2. Not probably. That is the best 1-2 punch in the MLB, and that rotation's nice. And I just can't get behind the lineup completely. I think they can win this division, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, it was the rotation for me, because I think that the Mets have guys in there that can match the star power that the Braves have, and I feel like they might be a deeper lineup than the Braves at this point. But it was the rotation. I want to put more of my trust in DeGrom and Scherzer and Taijuan Walker and Carrasco and Chris Bassett, as opposed to Charlie Morton, who's like an ageless wonder at this point, Max Fried, maybe getting Mike Soroka back, Ian Anderson. I just think I believe in the Mets firepower pitching a little bit more, and I just could not shake the idea of the Mets. And I wanted to pick the Braves.
I didn't talk about the Phillies at all. The Phillies are an interesting team as well. I mean, they've got with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, that's a good 1-2 punch as well, pitching. But I mean, their bullpen's below average every year. And I mean, the lineup is scary, but no defense. We talked about, Jack, you made a little TikTok about Rhys Hoskins dropping that pop-up, but I mean, They were already bad defensively, and you add Castellanos and Schwarber. That's going to be ugly defensively. And I think that pair with the bullpen, they're not quite ready to be a playoff team yet.
Yeah, and you go further down the rotation, I just think that pairing a less deep rotation and bullpen with bad defense, and yes, the offense is scary, but I don't think it's going to consistently put up enough runs to win, 90 to 100 games. So I think 84 and 78 is still a good season for the Phillies. It might be a little underwhelming, and I think they would prioritize going out even possibly at the deadline or later in the offseason next year, bringing in more pitching to supplement with this hitting that they've got tied down for a little bit longer now. So I think they're a year away from being a real playoff team.
And we want to get into the NL Central now. I can start this one off, but with the Central, this is like the most mid division in the MLB, in my opinion.
Pretty much.
I've got the Brewers winning the division at 89 and 73. Because I think Yelich comes back, maybe not an MVP caliber, but he will not be as bad as he was this past year. And obviously that rotation is insane. So I still think the Brewers win that division, win 89 games. I've got the Cardinals at 86 and 76.
Yep.
The Cubs at 76 and 86. The Reds at 68 and 94, and the Pirates at 65 and 97.
Okay, yeah, we're pretty much the exact same on all those, except I'm a little bit lower on the Pirates. I've got the Brewers winning the division at 90 and 72, because I think that they were really good last year. And I think, again, if you say that the Mets have the best 1-2 punch, they might have the second best 1-2 punch with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. And then you add Freddie Peralta onto that sick bullpen, and they make it work with a lot of guys on offense. I still question them going further in the playoffs, and I still question them a couple years down the road, because I just don't think they have a real offensive arsenal to keep competing with teams coming up like the Cubs and the Cardinals and eventually the Pirates. But Cardinals, I also have 86 and 76. I've got the Cubs at 77 and 85, the Reds at 69 and 93, and the Pirates at 60 and 102. They're your worst team in the MLB this year.
Wow.
The Cardinals were just another case of, I just don't think they have quite enough pitching to win the division. I think 86 and 76, still a good record, but you're going to start the season without Alex Reyes. You might start the season without Jack Flaherty, a guy who has a tendency to get injured as well. Adam Wainwright's only getting older. I know he was fantastic last year. I see no reason why he still can't be good this year, but it's just not Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns and Freddie Peralta. And their offense is great, and they're really young, so they can be good in the future, but I just don't think that's this year.
And let's move into the NL West here.
Yeah.
This was the hardest one for me.
I'll go first. Can I go first on this one?
Yeah. I just want to say, obviously, you know who I'm going to have at the top, but you can go first. And then it'll be interesting to see, because I kept changing this. I could not decide on who I wanted the NL wildcards to be. And I think we'll see what Jack has to say about my wild card picks. But Jack, you can go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, I have the Dodgers winning the division.
Okay, good.
I have them winning 104 games. I have them at 104 and 58. I have the Giants coming in second at 93 and 69. So kind of a big step down from 107 wins, but that's still, you don't have them winning 93 games. I can tell.
I don't.
I still think they're a team that is good enough to be a wild card team and be that, for me in the NL, they're the number one wild card team. Logan Webb, Anthony DeSclafani, Carlos Rodon, Alex Wood, Alex Cobb. That's a great rotation to me. That's a lot of like reclamation projects and names that a lot of people probably don't put in good status, but the Giants have made it work with them. They've shown that they can bring the guys that they bring in, they can really elevate. And I still think this lineup is good. I sent you an Instagram post the other day because you were making fun of the Giants lineup. And I'm like, look, every single in the projected lineup with WRC pluses last year, every single one of them is above an above average hitter. And most of them are, above 110 or 120 WRC pluses. And that's not factoring in platoon splits and splits against lefties or righties. So I still believe in the Giants. Padres, I have next in the division at 88 and 74. Losing Tatis really hurts. I was probably going to have them coming in second in the division or being above a 90 win team. Losing Tatis hurts. 88 and 74. Rockies at 70 and 92, and the D-backs at 63 and 99.
All right. So I also have the Dodgers 104 and 58, same as you. Number one seed in the NL. Technically I put the Padres at second. But I've got them same record as the Giants. They're both at 87 and 75.
Wow, that's harsh.
And so I'll once I get through all these, I'll reference that post. And then I've got the Rockies at 74 and 88 and the D-backs at 60 and 102.
Okay.
So first I want to start with the Giants. That post you sent me, and that post is part of the reason I see him regressing. I mean, you're not going to have Brandon Crawford winning third in NL MVP voting again. And
why not?
And Longoria isn't going to put up a 130 with WRC plus or whatever he did. That's not happening again. Lamont Wade won't be that good in late night Lamont.
Well, that's why they're winning 14 less games. Not what did you have them?
Well, I'm talking about all these guys regressing. And I think Rodon is good, but I mean, Kevin Gausman, he was having a Cy Young caliber season for a good portion of that season. And I don't think that happens again. And yes, you do get a step from Logan Webb, but
they only had Logan Webb for being that good for the last couple of months of the season. Now have him starting on opening day.
I know, but I will see. I think Brandon Belt, that takes a step down as well. And I just don't see them being that good. And Joey Bart, I don't think he's that good enough replacement for Posey. And I think he will be good, but he will not put up Posey like numbers at the plate, especially not this season. And I think going to the Dodgers, obviously I'm on Dave Roberts' train, guarantee World Series win, 104 wins. They're going to take it all the way. That's a spoiler of my pick, but little bias there. Whoopsies. I let that leak out. But
wait, are those Dodgers jerseys in back? You're a Dodgers fan?
What? But I'll go through my wild cards now. I had the Mets at the first wild card. They were 91 and 71. And then the Padres and the Giants both get in at 87. I went back and forth, because I really wanted to put the Cardinals in there as well.
Me too.
But I went back and forth. I knew I had the Mets in there. I went back and forth. Cardinals, Padres, and Giants. There can only be two spots. I had the Giants out for a little bit. I had the Giants higher, and I just brought them back down. And I've got the Cardinals finishing one game back of both the Padres and the Giants. I think that'll be a great finish. And then the Phillies were only 2 games back. So I think that's going to be a great finish. The Dodgers 1 seed, Braves 2, Brewers 3, Mets 1 wild card, and then Padres and Giants. You could flip them based off who has the tiebreaker at 87. But I just threw the Giants as my 3rd wild card just because.
Yeah. So I've got the Dodgers as the 1 seed. The Mets are the 2. The Brewers are the 3. I've got the Giants as the 4, the Braves as my 5, and the Padres as the 6th. So that sets up Brewers versus Padres and Giants versus Braves as the 2 wild card series. The winner of Giants and Braves plays the Dodgers, and the winner of Brewers and Padres plays the Mets.
Dodgers Giants rematch.
So if we can get into World Series picks, I'll say I have a Giants.
Oh
Dodgers
my
rematch.
goodness. Oh, I thought you were saying Giants in the World Series.
I have a Giants Dodgers rematch.
Oh no.
I have the Brewers and the Padres. I think the Padres beat the Brewers because, again, I don't think that the Brewers have enough offense to really get it going in the playoffs. So that's Padres, Mets, and Dodgers, Giants. The Padres and Mets, I was really flipping back and forth on. I ended up going with the Mets. You know what I have to do for the other series.
No,
I think it's going to be a bounce back.
Oh, you let the bias.
It's a full. Hey, we get the.
I was getting ready to praise you for putting your bias aside.
I was going to do it. But I also just thought, like, why would I pick the Dodgers to beat the Giants in the playoffs again?
That's fair.
Like, what good does that do me? I don't care if I'm right at that point because I'm going to be mad either way. So I went with the Giants. Plus, I just think they were so close last year. And I think that it was basically a coin flip in that last game. It came down to one last call, the last inning, Cody Bellinger getting the hit off Camilo Doval. Like, it was as close as you could possibly get. And I think the Giants come back and they do it last year. In the AL, so it was Rays, Yankees, and the winner plays the White Sox. I have the Rays winning that, but then losing to the White Sox. It's the Astros versus the Red Sox. I think that the Astros bounce back after last year. So that's going to be Astros and Blue Jays. I think I forget who I had winning this one. It's kind of a flip-flop for me. I think I would have Astros, honestly, beating the Blue Jays in the playoffs because I think the Blue Jays are probably the next year. I might pick them to win the World Series, to be completely honest. But
I was the same way.
So I have Astros versus White Sox, and I have the White Sox winning. So it sets up a White Sox Giants World Series, which I think would be a fantastic World Series.
Go ahead, and you want to give your pick for who's winning that right off the bat?
There's a team on this shirt with a SF logo that I think I'd have to pick.
No. Oh my goodness. Okay.
No, but like realistically, I think the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. But in this scenario, like, I'm going with the Giants.
Clip it. But so I had the White Sox 1, Blue Jays 2, Astros 3. I got the Astros beating the Yankees. Yes, that would be the matchup. And then I've got the Red Sox over the Rays. And then I've got that sets up Red Sox versus Blue Jays and Astros White Sox. I've got the White Sox over the Astros and the Blue Jays over the Red Sox. But like you said, I still think in terms of experience, I think the Blue Jays are 1 year away, and I got the White Sox winning that and going on to the World Series. And in the NL, Dodgers 1, Braves 2, Brewers 3. That sets up Brewers versus Giants in this scenario, even though I did have them at the same record. Brewers, Giants, and Padres. That would be Padres, Brewers.
Padres, Mets.
Padres, Brewers. Oh, no.
Yeah,
it was Brewers, Giants.
If you had the Giants
Padres, Mets. Padres, Mets.
Yeah. That would be a fantastic series.
Padres, Mets. I would have to take the Mets. That's going to be a 3-game series, correct?
Is it?
The new wild card?
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah.
If it's a 3-game series, I'm taking the Mets just because of the pitching they can roll out.
Mm-hmm.
And 5-game series, I might still take the Mets. I would have to give more thought to it. But in a 3-game series, I would take the Mets over the Padres. And the Brewers Giants is a really tough one because you're talking about, if it was 5 games, I would take the Giants for sure. But in a 3-game series, when you're facing Corbin, Woodruff, and Peralta.
Yeah. And then in those 3-game series, you really have to rely on, like, in a longer series, you can rely on a bullpen making a mistake. But I feel like across a 3 or even 2-game stretch, the Brewers bullpen would probably not make that many mistakes. If it was a 3-game series, and if I had the Giants going against the Brewers and not the Braves, I think I would probably take the Brewers.
Yeah, and that leads. I am going to go with the Brewers here.
Yeah,
that sets up.
However, I do think Logan Webb and Rodon can at least rival Woodruff and Corbin Burns.
I think so, but I would still give the advantage to the Brewers there. And then I would set up. I didn't write these down, so it's getting hard to track. But
so if you had the Brewers, so the Brewers would be playing your 2 seed, which was the Braves, right?
Right. Brewers, Braves, and Mets, Dodgers.
Yeah.
And then I would go Dodgers, Braves, NLCS rematch.
Wow.
And I already spoiled it, who I'm going to pick. I've got the Dodgers winning and then playing the White Sox in the World Series. And Dave Roberts I guarantee it too. You can clip that. The Dodgers are winning the World Series and they're getting their second and third 3 years.
See, the problem with that though is you went like all chalk. Your AL and NLCSs were 1 versus 2 and 1 versus 2, and then a 1 versus 1 World Series.
Whoops.
I think you want to reconsider your 6th seed in the NL.
I don't want to reconsider anything. But however, if the Giants were to get the second wild card, then because I had them at the same again, I think them versus the Mets could be a different story, and maybe that the seeding switches up a little bit. I still got same NLCS, same ALCS, but and same World Series.
Give me one team of those 12 outside of the White Sox and Dodgers who you think has a legitimate like dark horse shot of those teams to be the World Series champs.
Well, I think the easy answer, I'm not going to choose. I'll mention it. The easy answer is the Blue Jays.
Okay. And
I made a TikTok, and the sound that's going viral right now. I said the Blue Jays could be World Series champs. I said, that's not ridiculous to say that. Because I really think they can. But the only thing holding me back from picking them there is that experience. They haven't made the playoffs yet. I think the playoffs, they will be very successful the regular season, and they'll make a little run in the playoffs. But I think they're one year away in that regard. But as much as it pains me, I might just have to go the Astros.
I don't know. I don't think the Astros have a World Series in them this year. I would say the Padres. I
don't know if they do, but dark horse, I think they most certainly have a chance with what they've done in recent years. I mean, they weren't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they were the best team. They weren't. The Rays were. They weren't the best team in the AL last year.
Yeah.
And they still made the World Series run. And it seems like they made the World Series run against the Nationals a few years back. And in 2020, the A's won the division in 2020, didn't they?
I think they might have, yeah.
So, I mean, even then they beat the A's and made a little run. The Rays ended up beating them. That was in 7 games, I think, as well. Yeah. But I think no matter what, they're a team that's built for the playoffs now. And I think their window is closing. And I think they're a dark horse team that I could see having a World Series run, one more World Series run left in them.
I don't think their pitching quite matches up with some of the other teams. I think if I were to go a team, it's actually the 6th seed I have in the NL, which is the Padres. I think because at that point you're going to have Tatis back. That lineup is
the Padres could get hot and they'd be
still scary. And then having Bob Melvin now is, I think, just elevates them. So I think that they could really make a run for it. Red Sox possibly as well. They would have to turn more good seasons in from Pivetta, Eovaldi, get Chris Sale back. I don't know. I guess maybe the Yankees. Like, you always throw the Yankees in that mix, but then again, we're naming pretty much every team in the playoffs. So I would go Padres as kind of like that dark horse team. Speaking of dark horse, we were going to go through awards as well, awarding the actual award as well as a dark horse, a guy that we think could actually bring the award home as well. And we are providing odds for some of these things as well. Do you want to start MVP and then go with the AL first?
Yeah, so I'll start with the AL, and I just want to note that depending on where you look, these odds might look a little different.
That's true, but they're going to be in the same range at least.
Yeah, relative. And so we might have different odds, but for my pick for the AL MVP, it's Vladdy. And okay. I think the book I looked at was plus 400 for him. And I really think this is a 3-horse race. It's Trout, Ohtani, or Vladdy. Everyone else is dark horse in my mind. And I don't think Ohtani will win it again, just because part of his last season run being so ridiculous was that it's something we had never seen before. And now we're kind of expecting it. I think he would have to put up a ridiculous season and like maybe even like a Cy Young caliber season from the pitching side in order to win that award again. And Trout will always be in that conversation. I didn't want to go with the boring picks, so I went Vladdy. And my dark horse, we had the same dark horse. I ended up changing it. I won't say who it is just in case you kept it. But my dark horse was Byron Buxton at plus 4,000.
Wow. Those are rich odds.
And I want to make one more note on Buxton. The concern with him is he's only played one full season in his career, and that was 2017 going back. But I think he was putting up an MVP discussion at least season before he got hurt last season. And I think in a full season, you see his defense and you see what he can do with the bat, we saw last year, I think he'll be in that conversation, or he could be. He's my dark horse pick.
And there'll be more eyes on the Twins. So I think that's a good one. I picked Mike Trout. I think that he's just so good. And I think that we're going to get a healthy season.
I can see that happening for sure.
Fingers crossed. And if we do get a season where he plays the full season, I find it hard to believe that someone would beat him out for MVP. However, if it was going to be someone, and this would, like, not only is this guy my dark horse and I think has like dark horse odds, I contemplated him like actually being my selection. And that's Luis Robert, or Luis Robert, however you want to pronounce it, from the Chicago White Sox. I mean, he's insane. Like, if we get a full season from Luis Robert, and especially with how well I think the Chicago White Sox are going to do, I think he instantly vaults up to being the best player on that team. He's maybe one of the most talented players in the MLB as a whole. He does it all. He crushes the ball, hits for average, hits for power. He's a 5-tool athlete, and I think that he could have a great season. His odds are plus 2,500. So as opposed to Mike Trout's plus 400, I think that would be a pretty good bet. If I was going to Vegas to lay down some money, I would throw some on Luis Robert at plus 2,500. I also put a couple honorable mentions just because there were just too many names. Wander Franco and Kyle Tucker, two guys I think with good seasons could bring home the award.
And we were talking about we wanted to keep our picks record and award picks a secret, but I was talking like we were on phone a few days ago. I was like, I know who my dark horse AL is. You go, me too. We were like, what division is he in? The AL Central. Yes. What team? The White Sox.
I said what city?
What position? Oh yeah, what city? I was like, what? And they were like, what position? You're like, well, there's only one guy who's a pick. And so we had the same. So I ended up changing it just for fun. But I like you said, I think Luis Robert can most certainly bring home that award.
Yeah. In the NL, I had Ronald Acuna Jr. bringing home the award. His odds right now are at plus 800. It was between him and Soto for me. And I think it will be between him and Soto for me for a very long time. And the reason I went with Acuna is I think A, there will be more eyes on the Braves, which always helps. And B, Juan Soto had one of the best seasons like I've ever seen last year, and he still didn't come home with the award. So I struggled to believe that he can do very much better than that. Like that, his season last year was insane, and he still wasn't awarded the MVP. So I think it goes to Ronald Acuna this year. My dark horse, which I guess he isn't really like a full dark horse, is Trey Turner at plus 1,800, who I think if the Dodgers win 104 games, there's a good chance that there's an MVP season there. And I think Trey Turner could be my honorable mentions. Will Smith, Austin Riley, and Brandon Belt.
Oh, Will Smith.
I don't know. Like, I'm very high on Will Smith. I think one of the texts I said was, and this was before Scherzer and Seager were gone as well. I'm like, outside of Mookie, and maybe you can argue Walker Buehler and now Trey Turner, like I think Will Smith might be the third or fourth, maybe even the second best player on the Dodgers after this season.
Interesting. And I didn't pick Acuna just because he's not coming back until a month into the season. So he's going to have a insane run, and he might not fully be healthy. So I was hesitant to pick Acuna. Well,
he's looked Acuna good in batting practice so far. Like,
no, that's true. But I think he'll just have to put up an insane season for coming back a month late. And
they can also use him, I think, as a DH when he comes back, like in the first couple months, which is huge.
I have heard that. But I didn't want to go Juan Soto, and I think Acuna can win it, and Juan Soto obviously will. Or I think Juan Soto might end up winning it, but he's not my pick. My pick, I went Mookie Betts. I think he goes back to MVP caliber. He's at plus 900. So, I mean, he's not he is one of the favorites, but he is not the favorite by any means. I think he goes back to his MVP caliber, and I think he can win this award. And for dark horse, I actually went two here. I didn't do honorable mentions just for a couple of these. I picked two. Austin Riley, I picked at plus 2,500. And my other dark horse was Jacob deGrom at plus 1,400. And I think I would have picked deGrom if he pitched a full season last year and continued to put up the numbers he was doing. And he was swinging it at the plate too. He was hitting well. And I think if he did that for a full season, he would have been my pick. So I can see deGrom putting up ridiculous numbers again and being in that conversation and being the first pitcher to win since Kershaw or Verlander. They won around the same time, but I think first pitcher to win the award in a while.
Yeah, Austin Riley was one of my honorable mentions. I think he's just a great bet at 2,500. You saw him turn in an almost MVP season last year. And if we both think the Braves are going to be doing very well, it's going to be him, Acuna, and Olsen. And you never see the award really in a full season go to a first baseman. But Austin Riley, it really broke out last year, and he can be dangerous at the plate. Going into Cy Young, in the AL, my pick was Garrett Cole at plus 425. I just think he's a safer option. The AL, I think, doesn't have quite as many options for the NL Cy Young. And my dark horse was Dylan Cease from the White Sox at plus 1,400.
So my pick was a little bit of a dark horse. I went Lance McCullers at plus 1,400.
For the Cy Young?
I think so. I think he can. And I think I was looking, you said there's not too many guys that can win it. I think he has like the 5th best odds or something like that, but it's far odds.
That's shocking to me.
It was somewhere in that range, roughly 5th best odds. But I didn't want to go Garrett Cole. I think he can, but I didn't want to pick him. And my dark horse, Shohei Ohtani, is my dark horse to win the Cy Young Award.
I legitimately thought about that. I just did not think
2,200
innings.
He is my dark horse to win AL Cy Young. And plus 2,200, I think he has the stuff to do it for sure. I mean, he didn't put up those numbers last year, but he has the stuff to do it, and I think he has the potential to do it. And going into the AL, I'll start with the NL on this one. My pick, I think it's pretty obvious who our pick is going to be. It's Jacob deGrom at plus 380. And I think that's self-explanatory. Jacob deGrom, he's far and away the best pitcher in the MLB, in my opinion. And my dark horse, you'll like this one. My dark horse to win the NL Cy Young is Logan Webb. And if that happens, I think the Giants do better than what I predicted. And I think it's possible. But he's my dark horse pick. And what are your picks for the NL?
Yeah, I did not go with Jacob deGrom. I don't think that deGrom's going to get the innings this year. Like, I just don't think he's going to get to the inning total he's going to need to win the Cy Young.
Okay.
If he does, he's easily the Cy Young. I want him to get to those innings. I just don't think that I think the Mets will maybe slow play him a little bit this season to protect him, as well as I just don't know if he's got the durability in him to last a full season pitching as hard, as precise, and as long as he does. So I went with Logan Webb as my real winner, because if the Giants are going to win 93 games, and I think he's going to have a chunk of innings this year. I think he's going to throw a lot for the Giants. And I think if they're having success, he's going to be the big reason why. He pitched like a Cy Young pitcher down the stretch last season. So if they're going to do well this season, I think it's going to be on his back for the whole season, plus 1,600. So I think those are really good odds for Logan Webb. And I think you're going to like my dark horse. It's a Marlin. I think it's one of the 3 Marlins. It's Trevor Rogers, Pablo Lopez, and Sandy Alcantara, who I think Alcantara is becoming a little bit more of a popular dark horse pick, but I think one of those Marlins, it would not surprise me if they bring home the Cy Young this year.
You said I was going to like it. I thought you were going to go with like Urias or something. I thought Walker
all he does is win. That's it.
Buehler has a dark horse. That doesn't make sense. He's more of an actual pick. Yeah, I could see Buehler winning it, but rookie of the year. For American League, I went Julio Rodriguez at plus 800. And I think if this happens, I think the Mariners will get a wild card. But we'll get a wild card spot. But I don't think he is going to start the season on the big league roster.
Yeah, he's not.
So I think he would have to have a great year. And my dark horse for AL Rookie of the Year, Reed Detmers at plus 2,800. And I think the Angels would more than absolutely be playoff contenders if Reed Detmers can win Rookie of the Year. Him paired with Ohtani and Syndergaard, I think they would definitely be playoff contenders if Detmers enters that conversation. And I'll let you take the NL or AL rather.
Yeah, I also have Julio Rodriguez. You're right; he's not going to start the season in the MLB, but he's going to win an MVP one day. I'm pretty confident in that. And so I think he could be a lot like Wander Franco, come up, and even like Wander Franco came up late in the year and still came in second, or did he come in third? I can't quite remember. But if we had gotten like a month more of Wander Franco, I think he would have won the award. I think Julio Rodriguez
sure.
comes up earlier than Franco, and I think he makes almost just as much noise. And if he can especially do that and bring the Mariners towards the playoffs, that could be a big narrative for the award. My dark horse was Grayson Rodriguez, who is regarded by many to be the top pitching prospect in baseball for the Baltimore Orioles. His odds, I was so surprised to find him down the board at plus 3,500. So he would slot in as if he comes up and he's what people think he is. He's easily the 1 or 2 starter on the Orioles. And I think if he has success, plus 3,500, those are pretty great dark horse odds.
I can see that happening for sure. In the NL, I picked O'Neal Cruz. I think he has the best odds. He's at plus 300.
Yeah. The place I found was plus 350, but he was my pick as well.
And then for my dark horse in the NL, take a guess on who you think I picked.
I don't know. It seems like it would be a Dodger at this. No,
it's not.
It's not a Dodger. I don't know. Who is it?
Camilo Doval.
He's on my dark horse list too.
Really?
I picked two. I picked two at the same odds, Alec Thomas and Camilo Doval. So both in the NL West. But I don't want to sound like a homer, but he was one of the best closers down the stretch of the year last year. And if the Giants are winning 93 games, like I think they will, it could be a big reason for it. And there really aren't that many, outside of O'Neal Cruz, there aren't that many great picks. I don't think in the AL. Alec Thomas could come up and be productive for the Diamondbacks. Even Joey Bart has better odds than Camilo Doval. And I was like, I don't really see why. Camilo Doval has already proven he can be one of the best closers in the MLB. And I think it's tough sometimes for a reliever to come in and win the award, but at plus 1,800, I felt like I had to include him on the list.
Yeah, I think so. You also had O'Neal Cruz winning.
Yeah, I did. He's insane. Have you seen his spring training highlights?
Yep.
He plasters the ball 113 miles an hour. We saw him come up last year and his first at bat hit a ball over 110 miles an hour for a home run. And I think he's going to get a lot of playing time at shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in O'Neal Cruz, and he's kind of everyone's pick right now. But that was outside of him, Garrett Cole, and Trout. I did not go chalk on too many of these awards. I used to say Acuna a little bit too, but I think O'Neal Cruz is one where I'm pretty confident in that one.
And getting into manager of the year, this one is we didn't do dark horse for this one. I do have a dark horse for the NL.
Okay,
but I just want to mention, but AL, I had trouble picking this one, but I'm gonna actually switch mine. You didn't know who I picked, but I'm gonna go with Charlie Montoyo for the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays have a great regular season, and like I said, they're still a year away for the playoffs in my mind. But I think he wins the award for the AL and the NL. Dave Roberts, even though I just don't see anyone else winning it based off my record predictions. But I do think Bob Melvin can win the award for the Padres if he leads a Tatis-less team for a little bit and into a playoff spot. I think he can win the award as well.
I'm in the AL. I also went with Montoyo. I just did not want to give it to Tony La Russa.
And he was my original pick that I'm changing off now.
I'm not sure the writers would want to give it to Tony La Russa. And I think especially because the Blue Jays will have to fight so much more to win their division. I have them 2 wins under the White Sox, but the White Sox are going up against the Twins, the Guardians, the Tigers, and the Royals, as opposed to the Rays, Yankees, and Red Sox. So I think that would net Montoyo the award. I also have Dave Roberts. Because they're the only team I have winning 100 games, they have 8 more wins than the next best team in the MLB in my predictions. And there really isn't a team in the NL that takes a huge step forward. Yeah, you can say the Mets, but again, not really sure the writers would want to give it to Buck Showalter. And the Bob Melvin thing, because Jace Tingler did not win the season that they in 2020, it made me think that I just don't really think that Bob Melvin would come home with the award this year. I know that the Marlins made the playoffs that year, and it was pretty surprising. But I thought what Tingler did in 2020 was fantastic, and the fact he didn't win the award, I just think it'll go to Robertson. I was looking; he's won once. It was in 2015. So
Roberts?
Yeah,
I thought it was 2017.
2017. Okay, it was one of the odd years, but that's 5 years ago now. So it's not like they're going to shy away from giving him a second award, especially if he's this much better than the rest of the MLB.
Yeah, we'll come back to these award picks at the end of the season, see how we did and a record as well.
We'll probably come back mid-season too. I feel like it's such a long season that
is true.
We can come back to it, revise them maybe.
We'll definitely come back. I'll come back to this a few times, see how I'm doing. But and then we'll award some fun awards at the end of the season. We'll brainstorm that throughout the season, but get excited for that. And now, do you want to introduce our new segment that we mentioned at the top?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things we can call this. I don't think we've come up with a real formal name yet, but the gist of it is just top 5. So at the end of each episode, or maybe this isn't an every week thing, but at the end of the episode, it's top 5, and we pick something else to rank the top 5 of. In this episode, we're going to do the top 5 pitchers because we did top 5 overall players on our TikTok, as well as 6 through 10 as well. You can go check that out. You see it on the screen, the link if you're on YouTube. It'll be in the description on both YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can go follow our TikTok to see those links. But we want to do a top 5 pitchers. We'll go through other position groups, I'm sure, as this goes on. But eventually down the line, we'll be opened up to do some more fun stuff as well. Like we were thinking top 5 stadiums, top 5 uniforms, top 5 foods to get in a stadium, top 5 places to watch a baseball game, like stuff like that, top 5 baseball songs or top 5 walk-up songs or something like that. It'll free us up to do a lot of fun stuff and kind of end the episode on a fun note. Do you want to start? Who's your 5th pitcher on the ranking?
My 5th pitcher is Walker Buehler. And I think it might be a surprise. I really struggle with this because I'm more of a hitter's guy. So I struggled. I was doing a lot of research on who I thought the 5th best pitcher, because I pay more attention to the offensive side and rather than pitching. So you might have a more known list, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I went Walker Buehler 5th. I think he's been great. And he was absolutely insane for the majority of last season. I think his September and October wasn't great. And that kind of derailed him from potentially winning the NL Cy Young.
Well, yeah, after the crackdown on foreign substances.
Oh, that was like a month later. He was still pitching insane. He had like a 2 ERA he was under 2 for a lot. Yeah, a big part of the season, and he ended with a 2.47 ERA.
What was 61. His FIP last year?
His FIP was 3.16.
Okay, so not that big of a discretion.
And 5.5 WAR, which is good for a pitcher, and 61 ERA minus. And if you're not familiar with that, it's just any stat with a plus is. I mean, they're plus or minus. It's both on the 100 scale. Plus above 100 is average, above 100 is above average, below 100 is below average, and minus is the opposite. Below 100 is above average, and above 100 is below average. So he was at a 61 ERA minus last year. So I think he is a very much a big game pitcher, and I think he's earned 5th on my list.
Yeah, the 5th guy that I put on my list was Shane Bieber, and I think while Buehler has I need
to see one more season from Shane Bieber to put him there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. While Buehler has a longer track record of success, Bieber's just shown us things that we really haven't seen those guys do at the peak level. Pretty much only DeGrom be as good at their peak than Shane Bieber. And yeah, we saw him in a 60-game season do what he did, and then also being injured last year. But he was still good when he pitched last year. And I think that from what I've seen at his peak, his peak is enough to put him higher on the list, but the lower track record, I think he still deserves a spot at number 5. If we get a full healthy season from him, I'm sure he moves up, maybe even to be number 2 on my list. But for now, I have him at number 5.
And just go snake here. Who do you got at number 4?
Number 4, I flip-flopped on a little bit because 1 was obvious for me, and then 2, 3, and 4, I was moving around a little bit, but I'm going to go with Max Scherzer at number 4. We've seen him super successful over the past couple of years. He ages incredibly. He's still one of the better big game pitchers, one of the more dominant pitchers that we've seen. I'm discounting him a little bit because I'm kind of worried about his arm going into this year, but it's not really a record of how I kind of predict them to be down the line. Is ranking them about how I think they are right now. So I think Max Scherzer is the 4th best pitcher in baseball.
I've got Garrett Cole at number 4.
Oh, wow.
And his last full season was this past season. He was a Cy Young candidate. He had a 3.23 ERA, 2.92 FIP, 75 ERA minus. So I just wrote down key stats for all of them. But I think Garrett Cole, he's still a guy I'm putting at 4th right now. I just think 2 and 3, they're not obvious for me. I flip flop 2 and 3, but I think Garrett Cole was for sure number 4 in my mind. And
Okay.
I'll hop into my number 3 now. I've got Corbin Burns at number 3. And I think he's not at 2 because 2020 was his only full season. And it was kind of a Shane Bieber like type rationale. I need to see more from him to put him at 2, but I think he definitely has potential, especially after this season. But he was a Cy Young last year. So he earned that in a full season in my mind. 1.63 FIP last season, which is ridiculous. A 7.5 WAR and a 57 ERA minus and a 2.43 ERA. So it was his first full season, but I think he has the potential to be number 2 on this list.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I think that maybe after this season, I have him bumped up to number 2. He's also my 3rd overall. I've got Corbin Burns at 3. Number 2 for me was Garrett Cole. I think a lot of people are bashing Garrett Cole because the wild card game last year, but in reality, he was still probably the most dominant pitcher in the AL. And he has been for a couple seasons. Again, his peak is like a Jacob deGrom level where he's just unhittable, and you can pretty much win any start he goes out there, and he's got the stats to back it up. I know people will discount him for what happened against the Red Sox last year, but I still think he wins the Cy Young this year, and I still think he's the 2nd best pitcher in baseball and the best pitcher in the AL.
And I went number two as Max Scherzer from on my list. Just he's been. I was looking up all his accolades and stats and stuff. He's top 3 in Cy Young in 5 of the last 6 seasons. And he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball for a while now. And like we said, we're not predicting going forward. This is based off who we think has been the best 5 pitchers. And I think Max Scherzer has earned number 2. And I think Corbin Burns can be number 2 after maybe this season. But for now, Max Scherzer is number 2 for me.
And I assume at number 1, we both have Jacob deGrom.
Yes. I mean, he's ridiculous. He's got 2 Cy Youngs in the last 4 seasons. And I wrote down, he was potentially on his way to one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time last year.
Yeah.
If he stayed on that track. His last full season was 2019, where he put up a 6.9 WAR with a 59 ERA minus and a 2.67 FIP. And I think he won Cy Young that season. But I mean, he was at like a 1 ERA when he got hurt last season, and he was going like CG. It seemed like every start, and he's just insane. And he's must see TV when he pitches. And I'm excited to see him healthy this season. Yeah.
This list is like, I know you kind of want to base the list on stats and stuff like that, but at some point, like these guys, when they're splitting hairs between stats, there's just some guys that if you trust them out there on the mound in any single game and you think you're going to go win any game with them on the mound, this is how you separate these guys at the top. There are not many pitchers that you need to see every single one of their starts. And I believe that all 5 guys on this list, on my list, at least, are that level. I think that Shane Bieber, what he did in 2020, you were paying attention to every single time he went out on the mound. Garrett Cole has been that for years. Jacob deGrom's been that for years. Corbin Burns was that last year. And Max Scherzer has always been that as well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the splitting stats. I think, like I said, for pitchers, I pay attention to more of the offense. You're more of a pitching guy. But I mean, paying more attention to baseball now. Last year, I paid a little bit more attention to it. This year, I definitely will, as pitching. And I think because I haven't seen like the swagger guys have and like kind of the unwritten thing, like, okay, you don't have to worry about him. He's given us a good start. Like, I don't pay attention to that as much.
Yeah.
Where I see like from the hitting side, I'm like, okay, this guy's getting hit. Like when we get into more hitters, it won't be strictly stats for me, but because I don't know as much about pitching, I had to go with the stats for this one.
Do you know who your 6th was?
I didn't list a 6th, but I would say it could be Shane Bieber. It could be Zach Wheeler. I need to see another season out of Zach Wheeler. But I think both those guys could be there. What were yours?
Yeah, I had Wheeler at 6. I just think I don't think it's as often that we get fluke seasons from pitchers over a full season.
That's true. Yeah.
Which, I mean, what Zach Wheeler did last year, like I don't think it's something that's just going to go away this year. So I had Wheeler at 6. I probably had Buehler a little bit further down the board than you did at 5.
Yeah, so that wraps up our top 5. We'll let us know down below what if there's anything you want us to rank top 5 next. But I mean, we'll just keep going through all positions and like we said, more fun things. But Jack, you want anything more we got to add?
I was just going to say, like, we can do position groups. And I say, like, the episode before opening day, we go something fun. Like if top 5 places to watch a game on opening day. So I think that could be something interesting, or maybe top 5 seats in the stadium, something fun like that.
We'll something maybe we could do as well. In addition to that, we could also do maybe our top 5 opening day games to watch. I think
that would be good as well. Actually, yeah, that one sounds like a much better idea. 4th of July, we got to do foods for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
top 5 types of fireworks.
What?
Top 5 types of fireworks.
Yeah, the red ones and the blue ones and the orange ones for when the Giants.
You got the sparkler. You got the big one that goes boom.
The big one that goes boom. That's I'll put that on a quote graphic. Ryan ranks top 3 types of fireworks.
Number 1, big one that goes boom.
No, I like the orange fireworks for when the Giants win the World Series this year over the White Sox.
That doesn't deserve a response.
All right, whatever. Well, anyways, that's all we have for you guys in this episode. We hope you enjoyed some of the new segments, some of the old segments, and our record predictions. If you're on YouTube, like we say every episode, go and let us know in the comment section. Like, this is the one thing we want to hear from you guys. What are some of your biggest, boldest record predictions, MVP predictions? Who do you have in the World Series? Who do you have winning the World Series? That's the kind of stuff we want to hear from you guys down there. Also, while you're down there, please consider subscribing, leaving a like on the video, and hitting the notification bell. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please consider following the show and leaving a 5-star review. And as you can see on the screen or in the description, it's all of our social media pages, our Twitter, our TikTok, our Instagram, as well as Ryan and I's socials individually. If you're looking for day-to-day content covering spring training and some fun stuff that happens and things.
Everything throughout the season.
Go to TikTok if you want live updates on news. Twitter, yeah, and then Instagram, you can go follow, as well as we cover stuff for the NFL show there as well. And if you want weekly episodes, just keep listening along. We're super excited to get into a lot of the stuff that we have planned down the line and to get baseball soon. I don't know the exact day or like the exact amount of days that we are away.
April 7th. So it's 2 Thursdays. So it's 2 weeks from yesterday.
2 weeks from yesterday. That's super exciting. So 1 or 2 more episodes before opening day, and then we're going to be covering some real games that matter. So super excited for that. Anyways, that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. We've been the Double Play Podcast, and we will see you guys next time.